There will soon be another version of EA Sports NHL released for the 2022-23 season, and it is past time that David Pastrnak is on that cover. Gonna lay out a case for that today, as well as update you on Bruins prospects at the World Juniors, all on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Thursday, August 18th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Boston Bruins part of your day. I am back, refreshed after a few days away in Prince Edward County here in Ontario, not to be confused with Prince Edward Island, a separate province. Enjoyed some wineries, some meals by Lake Ontario, some country views, some time away with my wife Lauren to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But happy to be back here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast, which you can find on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. Please smash that subscribe button if you have not already. On YouTube, it's Locked On Boston Bruins. On Twitter, you can find the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins. And you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. Now, we are about a month or so out from the beginning of training camp. And there will soon be a new version of EA Sports NHL video game series. This dates back all the way to NHL Hockey on Sega Genesis, NHLPA Hockey 93, which was on Sega and Super Nintendo, NHL 94, NHL 95, all the way up to NHL 22. I started playing this game on the Sega Genesis. I got NHL PA 93 with the Sega Genesis for Christmas in 1992, and I was so excited I fainted on Christmas morning. True story. Now, Andy Moog was on the cover of NHL 94. And no Bruin graced the cover again until NHL 15, when Patrice Bergeron, his perfect, beautiful face, was on the cover of that game. In my mind, as we get set to see who will be on the cover of NHL 23, it should without a doubt be David Pastrnak. Now, in recent years, we have had some interesting selections. NHL 22, Austin Matthews. NHL 21, Alex Ovechkin, the first time he was on the cover since 2006. Austin Matthews was on the cover in NHL 20, PK Subban in NHL 19, Connor McDavid, NHL 18, NHL 17, it was Vladimir Tarasenko. Now, since 2016, 2017, there are only 4 players who have scored more goals than David Pastrnak in the NHL. Austin Matthews, who has already been on the cover twice in 3 years. Why? Alex Ovechkin, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. Now, I believe Pastrnak should have been on the cover in NHL 21 after having split the Maurice Richard Trophy with Alex Ovechkin in 2019-20, 48 goals in 70 games. He was the reigning Maurice Richard Trophy winner, albeit having split it with Ovechkin, but Ovechkin had already been on the cover in the past. Now he's coming off a 40-goal season and certainly deserves to be on the cover. Again, going back to that list, there's only two names that haven't been cover boys: Leon Draisaitl, David Pastrnak. Makes sense to me to put on a top scorer from an original six team who's full of personality and who should be marketed more by the NHL as a face of the league. Now, the rumors are that it will be Cale Makar. Granted, that would be a great choice. He won the Norris Trophy. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy. He is arguably one of the most exciting players in the game. Trevor Zegras is rumored to be on the cover. He had a couple exciting plays last season. He is a talented young player, but he really hasn't achieved anything at the NHL level. Didn't even win the Calder Trophy as the NHL Rookie of the Year. David Pastrnak, again, he's coming off a 40-goal season. He's one of the most entertaining personalities in the NHL. Plays for an original six team, therefore will have wider appeal than another player from the Edmonton Oilers. And it is high time, it's past time for Pasta to be on the cover of an NHL game. NHL23 put David Pastrnak on the cover. Again, one of the top 5 players in goals over the last several seasons. You know who's 6th, by the way? Brad Marchand comes in 6th. Since the beginning of 2016-2017, Marchand is 4th in the NHL in points, behind McDavid, Draisaitl, Patrick Kane. So he'd be a good choice as well. But in terms of being in the prime of their career, being a player that the NHL should be marketing as one of the faces of the league, original six team, it should be David Pastrnak. Again, Cale Makar would be an excellent choice. I could see that happening. But other than him, the only other option in my mind is Leon Draisaitl. You've had McDavid on the cover recently. We don't need to see the Oilers on the cover twice in that many years. It should be, again, an original six team. The Bruins are hosting the outdoor game, the Winter Classic this season, which would add for the marketing there. Get it done, EA Sports. Put David Pastrnak on the cover. Now, here in a moment, we're going to talk about how the Bruins prospects have been faring at the World Junior Championship. But first, a quick word from the NHTSA. You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. And as the evening comes to an end, people start to head home. You think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You think you can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you'll get pulled over anyways? And even so, what's the worst that can happen? Your insurance goes up. You lose your license. You lose your job. You total your car. You may even kill someone. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe, plan ahead, get a ride. Only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. All right, so the quarterfinal round has been played at the 2022 World Junior Championship in Edmonton. One of the big stories of this tournament is how it has not been very well attended. And I cannot blame anyone in Edmonton for not coughing up over $100 to support this tournament. Summers are incredibly short in Edmonton. You want to spend as much time outside and away from the rink as possible, with another NHL season around the corner, minor league hockey set to begin as well. More importantly, the recent Hockey Canada scandals have inflamed much of the country, and I can completely understand not wanting to support Hockey Canada, not to give them any of your money, and to just be generally disinterested in this tournament. However, for our purposes here on Locked On Boston Bruins, we have a high-profile prospect still in action at the tournament, and that is Fabian Lysell. His Swedish team will take on the rival Finns in semifinal action tomorrow, Friday, August 19th at 6 p.m. local time. So 9 p.m. out here on the Eastern time zone. Now, Lysell has been having a pretty solid tournament so far. He has recorded, let's see here, 1 goal, 4 assists in 5 games for Sweden. His 1 goal was spectacular, just inching it, less than an inching it, over the shoulder of the opposing goalie. He had a big assist on an Isaac Rosen goal yesterday in the quarterfinal win over Latvia, a game that was tighter than many expected, as the upstart Latvian squad that wasn't even supposed to be at the tournament, they replaced Russia late coming into this one, following their ban because of their invasion of Ukraine. So Lysell had a big assist in that one. Sweden's offense really needs to pick it up to have a chance to win a medal at this tournament, and they'll get a chance to do so against, again, the rival Finns on Friday. Speaking of Latvia, Dan Zlakmelis had a huge assist on a goal scored in the quarterfinal game yesterday. He played fantastic in this tournament. Again, Latvia wasn't really supposed to be there, but it gave us a chance to see him in action. And I was very impressed with Dan Zlakmelis and what he was able to do here on the international stage. He played in Sweden last year, and I believe he will be playing for the Youngstown Phantoms of the USHL here in 2022-23. He was named the player of the game for Latvia, according to Florida Hockey's Chris Peters. Again, he was taken 119th overall in 2022. Scouting report said he needed to work on his overall game, but in Wednesday's game with that assist, his work along the boards, shaking the defense, getting the puck back to the blue line for the goal, showed some real progress. He had 18 goals, 34 points in 44 games last season in Sweden, and now come over and play for the Youngstown Phantoms. So great little tournament for Locke Mellis in what was a historic run for Latvia, getting to the quarterfinals and almost upsetting the Swedish team. But Lysell, again, off to the semifinals. Another Bruins prospect who is not going to the semifinals is Riley Duran, as the USA team was upset by Czechia in the quarterfinals on Wednesday. It was a pretty good tournament for Duran. He had 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points in 5 games, playing more of a depth role, but he chipped in offensively. And again, he will be playing, I believe, for Providence College this coming season. Last year, he had 10 goals, 9 assists in 38 games. Based on his production for Team USA, hopefully he'll have a more productive offensive season and just really continue to round out his overall game. He was a late pick as well, 6th round in 2020, and that's pretty good find in a later round for the Bruins, and I can see him having a pretty good year for Providence College coming up. So, what's left? All eyes for the Bruins will be on Fabian Lysell, playing Finland tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Prior to that, the Canadian team will take on Czechia, as a lot of Bruins will be keeping an eye on that game to see if their young countrymates can pull off another upset over the pretty dominant Canadian squad at this point. Ideally, Canada, Sweden will be in the final. Lysell guaranteed a medal, but we'll have to see how things shake out here in tomorrow's action. Before we get to some news and notes from around the NHL, a quick word about BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 source for odds, lines, and games. You can find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today at BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, let's check in on the rumor mill here as we get closer to NHL training camps. Pretty wild that we're already at August 18th. Summer certainly winding down. And the Ottawa Senators may be looking to add some more firepower from the blue line, as they've been in talks with the Arizona Coyotes regarding defenseman Jacob Chychrun. Brent Wallace, formerly of TSN, now of the Wally and Mathot show with former NHL defenseman Mark Mathot, says there have been talks this week, but the Coyotes' asking price is 2 first-round picks, a high-end prospect, and Nikita Zaitsev. Now, the Senators would pay a bit of a premium to dump Zaitsev's contract, but that is still a huge asking price. Ottawa really wants him. Chychrun wants to be in Ottawa by all accounts, but a top D prospect, maybe like Eric Brandstrom, a first and a second, maybe that's all they should be willing to cough up. It's quite a huge asking price for a player like Chychrun, who's very talented, has a great contract, but still. Speaking of defensemen in the Atlantic Division, the Maple Leafs and Rasmus Sandin talks have not been going anywhere, and they have to decide whether or not they're going to sign him, trade him. They'll have to create some cap space if they hope to get him under contract before the start of the season. So there still could be some movement there when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I did an Atlantic Division power rankings early on. I think the Atlantic is going to be very interesting this season. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning, who went to the Stanley Cup final. They have arguably taken a bit of a step back, losing Andre Palat. The Florida Panthers probably taking a step back. They're losing Anthony Duclair early on. They'll be obviously without Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau, who are traded to the Flames. Matthew Tkachuk comes in. The Maple Leafs, some questions on the goaltending side of things. And the Bruins, of course, have some questions of their own. Red Wings, Senators looking to make some big improvements. What else is going on there? Teemu Selanne will have his number hung in Winnipeg. Long overdue there. And finally, Dylan Strome, who I had hoped the Bruins would sign. Expected to replace Nicholas Backstrom in Washington on the second line. Could play alongside TJ Oshie and Anthony Mantha. And that could be a really good spot for him to either re-sign next season or to boost his value for next offseason when he'll be an unrestricted free agent. The Bruins could take another look at him down the road. Anyways, that is it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Thank you so much for coming back, for remaining subscribed while I was on holiday. I'm excited about what's to come here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. Exciting guest, hopefully coming up on Monday or sometime next week. And we're just getting ready for training camp. Once the World Juniors is over, maybe some PTOs thrown around, maybe a trade or two to free up some cap space. We'll have to see what Don Sweeney is up to. But for now, thanks so much for taking some time to listen to today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh new Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, friends. And we'll talk to you again here tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.